What is up, my quarantine party people? I believe we are live. Give me just a second here. I'm going to open up the chat. So continue to chat amongst yourselves there. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy to see some of you guys already in here. Cool. Hey, Robert, what's going on? Oh, I'm so excited that you are looking forward to today. It's gonna be a wild ride, man. Get ready. Jesus, what's up? There are a couple of you, and I might repeat this, but there are a couple of you guys that, well, actually, quite a few of you that emailed me after the last stream, and there are a few emails I haven't gotten to yet, but hopefully we can address some of those today. If not, I'll take another look, and we'll also go through some of the questions. But Marlene, what's up? Matthew, how's it going? Thank you guys so much for hopping in. I appreciate you. Today is going to be pretty wild, you guys. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into some of the different ways that you can stream audio and video with remote people at high quality. So just one of these platforms we could spend hours on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to touch on some of the different options, and then we may, depending on some of the feedback that you guys give, we may do a deeper dive into one or two of them if specifically there are some that you guys are asking about a lot. So, but yeah. All right, well, let's jump right in. So, welcome again for those of you that are just hopping in. I got something fun that I wanted to start off with here today. So, one of my friends made this video, and I just think it's so great. So I'm gonna play something for you here really quick.
Lockdown, can't go downtown, walking my town, can't have my friends in a room, only on Zoom. Can we just resume? Still makes our love bloom. I got 36 TPs in the bathroom, so give me shelter, not helter skelter. I got some yeast for my bread, I can bake now. Brown chicken, brown cow, wish you could be here from 6 feet away. I got my day sweats, I got my night sweats, I get them mixed up, yeah, they're the same sweats. When you're in lockdown, listen to Motown. You can lean on me and I can lean on you.
Pretty fun, right? Pretty fun. It's funny because I was actually listening to it in the stream, so there's a little bit of a delay there, and I wanted to let it finish, but pretty fun. Yeah, so my buddy, his name is Pete. He actually made that video, and he made it with his hype mic, so I just thought he'd do something kind of fun. Apparently, he used to write some like spots, like funny kind of ads and stuff for a TV show, and he sent that to me. So he is going to actually send me the session file, and I'm going to do some vocals on the chorus part for him this weekend. So good stuff. Anyway, if you want to check out his music, you can just do a Google search for Pete Lacey. He's a beast. Robert, what's up? Ron, Juan, happy to see you guys in here. Yeah, very happy to do these sessions. It's actually a blast for us. So, all right, here we go. So, let me open up my notes here. All right, let's do a quick recap from last week. So, last week, what did we do? What didn't we do last week? We covered quite a bit. We talked about some of the different streaming platforms. So, Facebook, Instagram, Google Hangouts, Zoom, you name it, there are just an infinite amount of them. And like I mentioned last week, more popping up, it feels like daily. I just keep coming across a whole bunch of them that I'd never heard of that are brand new. We actually demoed a setup of a live Instagram video and a live Zoom conference. So if you are interested in either one of those, feel free to hop back into last week's stream and you'll get the scoop on how to do that. We talked about streaming etiquette. So this was probably my favorite part of last week's live stream. Streaming etiquette is so important. Things like the lighting, the room treatment, making sure you're not in a horrible sounding room. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but there are some kind of hacks and little tips and tricks that I shared on ways that you can maximize the space that you have to work with, especially during this time where everyone's quarantined. And then we talk about where to look. So, for example, when I'm talking to you guys, I do my best to try to look at the camera because it's really weird if I'm like, "Hey guys, what's up? How is everyone?" You're like, "Why isn't he looking at me?" That's kind of weird, right? So you want to look at the camera when you're talking to people, and you want to, if you're not talking to people and you're doing something else, you're demonstrating something, it's okay to look away. Not that I always do that. I break my own rule for sure, but it's something to keep in mind. And then finally, we talked about equipment. So the type of equipment that you want to pick up if you're interested in doing these live streams. So we had like microphones, cameras, computers, and we'll get into some of the more detailed equipment probably in a future stream. You can get into like switchers and capture cards and all kinds of stuff. So there's a company that I've just recently started speaking with called Elgato. I've been using their products for years, and they're going to send some products here so that I can actually demo them for you guys in one of the future episodes. So that'll be fun. All right. So today, what are we doing today? Holy cow. We're going crazy, you guys. I hope you're ready for this. So we're going to start off with just a quick overview of a broadcasting application, and there are also tons of these, but this specific broadcasting application is called OBS. I'm sure you've heard of it, especially with everyone trying to live stream right now. You hear people talking about OBS nonstop. So what is OBS? Overly complicated broadcasting software? No. It's OBS is an open source broadcasting application, which means it's free, which is awesome. So you can actually do a Google search for OBS and download it if you want to follow along. But I am going to just let you see what it looks like here. And this will help you kind of understand some of what I'm doing and how I'm controlling the stream. So here's my screen. Let me see. Try to not pay attention to the million windows that you see over and over and over again there. That's just because I'm actually in this OBS window. I'm capturing everything that's on my screen right here. And so when I drag the preview window into the window that I'm capturing, you see it just kind of repeated over and over and over again, like you'd kind of get if you had a feedback loop where you have like a microphone picking up what's coming out of a speaker, going back into the microphone to the speaker to the microphone to the speaker, and then it just feedback loop. So it's kind of what you got here in the video world, but try not to pay attention to that. So here I've got my main window. I've got some videos that I want to play for you guys. And I have this. If I click on this, you can see my screen. So this section of OBS, these are called scenes. Now, once I just give you this quick explanation, if you've hopped into OBS and it's confused you before, you'll be like, oh, this is way easier than I thought. And there's actually a lot you can do that we're not going to cover. But what you want to do when you first open up OBS is you want to start with your first scene. So that will be this first scene right here. It'll be like titled scene 1 or something like that. And so you can just right click on it and rename it here. So I like to name them so I know, when I'm streaming what I'm clicking on. So in this first scene, I can add sources. So I have my hype mic, which I can adjust the levels of, and I have live metering of right here. And then I have my camera. Right? So notice if I hide my camera, you see me disappear. And vice versa, if I was to hide my mic, you would see me, but you would hear nothing. And that's because I have hype mic set as my audio input and the camera set as my video input. Now, how do I do that? Well, once you have your scene and you start adding sources, and I'll walk you through it real quick. So you just click on the plus right here. This plus is going to ask you what kind of source you'd like to add. For example, last week, near the end of the video, I put an email address up on the screen. And I did that quickly by just adding a source to the scene that I was in, and the source I added was text. So I just added text and I typed in what I wanted it to say. But right now what you're actually seeing my monitor because I'm doing not a window capture, I'm doing a display capture, which is somewhere. Oh, display capture right here. So a display capture is going to capture everything that's on the display, which is why I just maximize this window, because you can see if I make it smaller, it's capturing my whole display. You can see everything in the background, the different windows I have open and whatnot. The difference between a display capture and a window capture is only going to capture a specific window. Like if I have a certain window open in Chrome and I selected a window capture and I selected my source as that Chrome window, well, that's all you would see. Let me show you what these look like. So I'm going to click on the plus and I'm going to add, let's add a window capture so you can kind of see what it looks like. So it pops up, asks you what you want to name it. Sure, I'll just keep it titled window capture. Why not? And then here I have the option to choose what window I want people to see. So I could I could just choose OBS if I wanted to, but I'm going to be referencing a lot of stuff on my display, so I wanted you guys to be able to see everything. Part of the problem too with a window capture versus a display capture is what I just did in OBS. If I click on the plus and another window pops up, if I'm doing a window capture, oftentimes, and I did this by accident last week, oftentimes you won't see what pops up. You won't see that second window that opens up because the source is just the main window, if that makes sense. So let me give you an example here. So if I click on the plus and I do a window capture, and sure, we'll call it window capture 2, and I select OBS, I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to hide this other capture here, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm sizing it basically so that it fits the screen, and I believe I could actually have just right-clicked on that, but I want to show you something specific here. So in the background, you see my full display capture. All right, and you see my camera. I'm going to hide my camera as well. So now you're just looking at a window capture. Now what happens if I click on the plus and I try to add, let me do this side by side. Actually, this is kind of tricky to explain. So beneath, I'm going to enable okay, so if I was to go here, and I got to do this one more time. If I go here and I select a window capture, we'll call it window capture 1 or 2 or whatever, and I've selected OBS, right? I'm going to hide my display capture. Now here in my window capture, if I click on a plus to add something and a window pops up, you won't actually be able to see that. Okay. So I am clicking on plus right now, getting pop-up menus, pop-up windows, but you can't see them. So I actually did that last week by accident. Oops. So that's hopefully that helps kind of explain a little bit of the difference between a window capture and a display capture. So let me center my video here again. Now there's something else that I want to show you. Let me just double check on YouTube, make sure, yep, you guys can see everything I'm doing. Okay, so there's something else that I want to show you guys here. So, and that has to do with resizing. So you can see me here, you can see my camera, you're looking at my display again. If I want to resize something, let me just make sure, yep. If I want to resize something, I can click on my little like corner bar here and change the size of it by dragging. So you guys can see that. Now that's pretty obvious, but one question that I get all the time when it comes to adding sources is how do I crop? Because let's say I want to drag this in. Well, it's not cropping, it's just resizing the entire window and maintaining what's called the aspect ratio. If I want to crop, all I've got to do is when I grab these sidebars, if I hold on Option and drag, it actually crops the source itself. So I'm going to put this back to normal size, go back to my main video here, and I'm going to show you why this is a helpful thing. So let's say that you guys can see my camera, and I'm going to add a window capture here below it. So you can see my camera. Maybe I want my camera to be in the corner while I'm doing something else in the background. This is how you would make your camera smaller, and you're seeing that effect where everything kind of trails. But if I wanted to crop around myself so that I had the biggest possible video, taking up the least amount of space, I could do something like that, if that makes sense. So let me go ahead and resize everything back out. Now, one other neat trick, something you can do, is you can right click on any source. So I'll show you like this. And if you go to transform, you can fit to screen. So that's what I'm going to do here on my video. I'm going to go back to my video. I'm going to right click, transform, and you guys can't see this. That's why I wanted to explain, and fit to screen so that I am once again full size. Cool. Okay, so that was a very, very quick just touch on what a scene is, what a source is. If I was to add a microphone like you saw earlier here, if I go back to my display capture, you can see I have my audio metering. I can mute my audio at
Can't go downtown.
I just realized I have my camera. That's my bad. That's actually what I was going to show you guys. So let me hide this again. So you can see now this is my kind of like my video scene, and I have a couple videos in here that I want to show you along with my mic. I can mute my mic. I can unmute my mic. I can actually go ahead and hit the eyeball to show this video if I wanted to start playing. And I noticed when it was playing a moment ago that it was kind of loud. So I can bring the volume way down. I can also mute it if I want to. So now you shouldn't hear that video playing at all. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Oh, actually, let me go back here. I'm going to hide this again so that when I come back to that scene, it's not gonna show it. So that's just a really brief overview of how you're going to use scenes and sources. All right, pull my notes back up here again. And there are a couple more things that we're going to go over in OBS, but I just wanted you to get a quick idea of what you're looking at. Because really, once you've added your sources and your scenes, that's 90% of OBS. That's kind of the thing people look at it and they're like, I don't know what's going on. All you got to do is you add your camera and you add maybe multiple scenes. So one with your camera, one with an overlay if you want to jump back and forth between like having overlays and whatnot. And then you can actually do something really cool where you set up an application called Stream Deck, and you can download the app on like your iPhone, your iPad, whatever, or they actually make a hardware device. It's also by a company called Elgato, the one I mentioned earlier. And you can actually trigger those scenes and sources without having to do what I'm doing right now, which is like going to your computer, which is on your other screen. So you're completely looking away from your camera and you're making people be like, why is he not looking at me? I'm using my iPhone right now for messages, like if Marlene or Sebastian or someone else from Apogee texts me. But what you can do is you can actually set up, and I might do this I'll probably do this next week with like an iPad or something, where I can set up my different scenes and sources and just switch between them with one click, and I can put that, iOS device wherever I want. So, all right, so let's talk about live video. Live video and live audio. So there are a couple different ways to achieve this. And let me just take a look here really quick in the chat. Okay, hopefully I'm not muted anymore. Let me see. Nope, I'm good now. Sorry about that. Oh, cool, Matthew, you've used OBS. Right on. Hey, Greg, what's up, man? Paul, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so nothing pressing right now. Okay, so you have a couple different options for doing live audio and live video. Now, we're going to start with live video. There's one option that is much easier than the other options. And the reality is it's what like everyone is doing right now. And that is to pre-record portions of the video and interact with it like it's live. That's what you're seeing almost everywhere right now. So TV shows, a lot of TV shows, like, I don't know if I should mention, but pretty much all the TV shows where you see people broadcasting something from home and there are multiple people involved, almost all those situations where they're interacting with each other, unless the audio quality and the video quality is really low, if it actually sounds good and looks good, the majority of them are actually recording the video ahead of time. It's being edited together and then they're interacting with it. Now, if that doesn't make sense, I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to go back to my videos scene here. And this is a live stream that a friend of mine did for his album release last week. And last week in the stream, I actually told you to go check out his stream right after my stream. I realized I was going to talk a little bit longer before I play this. So his name is Alec Lytle, and he did basically this example that I'm talking about now for his live video. So they had a album release party scheduled, and he had some limitations, mainly being internet connection, and he wasn't able to receive the sources from all 4 of his bandmates and play with them in real time, because you do need to have decent internet connection to achieve that. So the workaround we did is what most people are doing right now. So he recorded himself playing a song live, and he sent that audio with a click track and a cue track to his bandmates. His bandmates then filmed themselves individually playing along to what he did. They sent it back to him. He took all 4 of those videos, edited them into one video, and then he played again live to what they sent him. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. So on the right-hand side, that's Alec, and he's actually playing live a second time because he'd already played live for the guys that were playing along. Now that is typically what you're going to see if you're watching TV and you're seeing a lot of that stuff. However, there are other options, so I want to touch on a couple of them here. So the first one that I want to talk about, if you're not doing it pre-recorded, is to use OBS Ninja. So if you want to, and we'll add a lot of these links later, if you want to go to this website, I'm going to pull it up here as well so you can see it, but OBS.Ninja. Now this is a website, I randomly came across this on Reddit. Let's go to Chrome. So this is OBS Ninja here. And this is a guy who sets up live streaming scenarios and this is like what he does professionally. And so now that he's quarantined, I believe he lives in Canada, he decided to just put this out. So the website, he said it himself in a video. It's super underdeveloped, super raw, but it actually works very well. It's really cool. So I want to explain what you would do here. So OBS Ninja is for receiving audio and video sources that are external to you that you can actually import into OBS and broadcast live. I have done this a few times, and I'm not exactly sure what the differentiating factor is here, but sometimes it's almost flawless. There's like no latency at all. And then other times there's a little bit. So I haven't experimented enough to figure out what it is. Maybe it's just the time of day or, the connection of everyone, because again, that's a factor. But I'm going to show you what this looks like. So these 4 white squares up top here are actually all buttons you can click on. It's hard to tell because there's not really a hover over action that happens. But if I was to click on add group video chat to OBS, here's what I get. I'm going to create a room. So I could call it whatever. I could call it Cody Stream Test and enter the room as the director. Okay, now I would send this guest invite link out to whoever I wanted to capture the audio and video of. I send this out to them, and then I'll show you what this looks like here. Let's say that I received this from someone, this link, and I clicked on it. I could join with a camera or share something with the room, like my screen. If I wanted to walk a bunch of people through a process, I could basically from anywhere share my screen with them without having to go through Zoom or any of these other features, and the quality, like I said, is really good. So if I click on join room with a camera, check this out. Now you may be hearing the audio twice. I believe you are. So let me just say disable audio here. But here's what I want you to notice. The video that you're seeing right now is not local. This is going through the internet. Look at the quality and look at how close what you're hearing, which you're hearing my audio from OBS. I disabled the audio in this stream, but the video you're looking at right here is actually live. So this is how it would look and how it would sound, which is really high quality and almost no latency. So I'm glad that when I tested this right now, it's like working so flawlessly. Now, what I would do as the moderator is I would basically add local camera, video. Here we go. So, sorry, I forgot one step. So whoever is sending you a video source, whether it be a camera, an audio, or a screen, they would basically, when they're ready, they would click here. It says, I'm ready. And that's now broadcasting. I'm going to mute the mic again. That's now live. And I could basically take this and enter it into my OBS. So here you can see OBS. I'm kind of overlapping it here a little bit. What you're seeing on the left-hand side is me right now, straight from my camera. What you're seeing on the right is what's being broadcast with OBS Ninja through the internet. Now, all you would have to do is basically in OBS, you would add a new scene here, or I'm sorry, a new source, and you would do a browser, and you would just import that browser right into OBS. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if I go here, I can see now, because I'm the room moderator, I can see that someone has joined my chat. I can copy this link, and in OBS, I can add browser, and we'll just call it remote camera. URL source. Boom. Let me... It might not show it because it's overlapping too many times, but basically that's what you do. So let me go back here. So you have the ability to do this for like quite a few people. Now, if you're doing this for more than one person, I wouldn't add each of these individually. What I would do is back here on this page, let me go back one. I would add them as a group. So there's, if I start this over again, we'll just call this test. Add group scene. So everyone I send this link to, if they're all sending their video in, I can copy this and put that as a web source into OBS instead of doing each one individually one at a time. Now, there are a couple of reasons you want to do that. With OBS, the more you put on your screen, the more it's going to start to kind of like lag your system out a little bit. So there are a couple things I want you to notice here. If I go back to my OBS screen, right down here at the bottom, you see where it says CPU and it's showing exactly how much CPU usage is happening here. The more I add, the more it's going to start to look laggy and drop frames because there's a lot going on. Now, many of you have seen people streaming and they have overlays, right? The most simple thing, like adding a lower third with information, it's going to tax your system more. Now, if you're adding 5, 6, 7, 8 sources, it's going to tax your system a lot more. So you always want to be careful with not adding too much. Now, the beauty of with OBS being able to add either the individual video or the group scene is they're doing all of the work for you. All of the taxing is actually happening on basically on the internet side, so that it's not your computer having to use so much CPU processing power to have multiple video sources all over the screen, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me take a look at the chat here, see if you guys are asking any questions. Oh, awesome, Ross. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. So Ross said he likes OBS, and I appreciate that you're loving the series. It's so fun, man. It's fun for me too. The biggest difficulty with this series is actually figuring out. Oh, there's so much. It's like, how do you know which topics to cover what week. So I really value your input for sure. Let's see. Matthew said, my church's worship service has been doing this for the past few weeks. Oh, no way. Have they been using OBS Ninja? That's awesome. Same here. All pre-recorded. Yeah, that's what most people are doing right now. Cool, Paul. I'm glad you like it. It's a really neat trick. And honestly, I have not ever heard anyone talk about this. I randomly came across this guy. I was researching something completely unrelated, completely different, and I actually found this post on Reddit, and it like had almost no views, and it was this guy who's like, hey, I do this for a living. I made this open source code. Anyone can use it. You can modify however you want. He actually gives everyone the code as well if they want to modify it. So it's pretty neat. Okay, so that is one way to import a live source with very little latency. Okay, now there's another one I want to show you that it does something kind of similar. But there, in my opinion, there are different reasons to use each of these. So I'm going to go back to OBS, switch over to my screen. I'm going to move that off so you don't see all that stuff. Now I'm in Chrome. I'm going to close all my OBS windows, leave. I'm still broadcasting there, so I want to leave that as well because that's obviously taxing my system as well. I want to introduce you to, if you can believe this, hopefully this stream's looking good and it's running well because I was actually running like 4 different streams live. What you're seeing right now is the same sort of thing, and it's offered by a company called Source Connect. So I've mentioned them before. If you guys want to check this out, if you go to meet.source-elements.com, you can see, it's funny, one of the suggested results there was Meet Joe Black. So source-elements.com, well, meet.source-elements.com will take you directly to this page. You create an account. It's free. Once you create your account, it's going to give you a link to this. So this is my meeting room. It's based on my name. I can create a password, so you can see the URL here is meet.source-elements.com/Cody Cloe, my name. Anyone I give this URL to and the password can actually join in here, and you can see right now this is live video, and I'm broadcasting the video through OBS, and I think it's coming through here as well. So I'm kind of curious to know, I'm going to mute this. I'm kind of curious to know how it sounded. If there was a lot of latency, you would hear quite a difference between what you heard on the stream and what you heard coming through source elements on the stream. So it would be like an audio delay. There was probably a teeny bit of one, but if it was very close, that kind of lets you know how low latency it is. Also, this video you're watching right now is not, again, the same kind of thing. This is not my camera through OBS. This is actually happening online right now, and you can see the quality is really, really good. I've done these meetings with a handful of people, and everyone looks and sounds amazing. It's night and day better quality audio and video than like Zoom is. So that's meet.source-elements.com. There isn't a lot of setup to go through in that. Once you create your account, it generates your own private URL and gives you the option to create. Let me close those. It gives you the option to create a password if you want. You can change that password as often as you want, and you can send that link out to anyone. They can join in with audio and or video, and then you can actually record quite a few different ways, but you can record the audio and the video in practically real time and actually use that for whatever you want. So I'm going to tell you how I did this recently with a guy named Bob Clearmountain. Maybe you've heard of him. He's kind of awesome. And we recorded a special message at the beginning of the podcast that we just launched yesterday, the newest episode that we just launched yesterday. We recorded a message just, to kind of encourage people because of everything that's going on right now. So let's take a moment. If you haven't done so already, if you've not checked out the podcast, you've got to open up, grab your phone on your computer, whatever. If you're using a Mac, go to Apple Podcasts or Google Play or Stitcher or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Same thing on Windows, except for I'm not sure if you have Apple Podcasts on Windows, but head over there, just open this up so you don't forget later. You can do a search for Clear Mountain and you'll see Clear Mountain's domain come up. Check it out. Listen to that message at the beginning of the podcast because that was actually recorded remotely with Source Connect in real time. So here's what that looks like. If you go to source-elements.com/products, you can see all of the products offered by Source Connect right here on this page. So there are a couple that I was using in order to record the audio of Bob and I interacting in real time over the internet. Probably the most important is right here. It's Source Nexus. The nice thing right now is they have demos, so you can download like everything. Some of their offerings are kind of pricey, but I just went to try, and you have to like add it to your iLock account and whatnot. But you can see the pricing for some of these, but the free one is the one that I downloaded, and it's actually working perfectly. So that, once I create that account, takes me here. I can start basically an audio chat with someone once I have the Source Nexus driver. And I'm sorry, I skipped a kind of an important step here. So Source Connect, if I go back to this page here, Source Connect is the other element of it. I said there were a couple things that you're going to need to do what we did. You need Source Connect and you need Source Nexus. Source Connect is going to allow you to start like, think of it almost like an online DAW. It's not really, but it's a website, and you can kind of see, if I go back to the screen here, you can kind of see what this picture looks like. It looks just like this, where you have a website that you're on. I'm going to show you this in a minute. But you have a website that you're on, and you actually have metering, and you have the ability to send and receive audio in real time at whatever quality the person who started this Source Connect meeting designated. So Bob plugged a hype mic into his computer. I sent him an invite link, and he accepted the invite link. He didn't even have to create an account because I already did all that stuff. So he accepted that invite link, and then we were just talking like normal. Now, the cool thing is Source Connect, it's all happening on the internet. Now, the question is, how do you record in real time when it's on the internet? Because you can record from Source Connect, but I wanted to record it into my DAW and into that podcast session. So how did I do it, you ask? I'm not really even sure. It took a lot of work. It was rather difficult, if I'm being honest, but I heard it wasn't possible to do in Logic. I unfortunately bricked my version of Pro Tools because I updated my operating system. Oops. So I had to figure out how to do it in Logic. And I was told by a handful of different people, and when I was digging through their website, I was told you can't do it in Logic with the free version. But I figured out how. What I'm going to do is I have a couple templates. So if you guys are interested in trying this in recording out of Source Connect using the Source Nexus plugin into Logic, I will give you templates. We'll have them on our website probably by tomorrow morning. You can download those templates and you can try this out. Now here's what this looked like in Logic. I'm not going to do this right now because this has actually been giving me some issues. I think there's a new update that I need to do. But if on this aux channel, I add the Source Nexus plugin, so you've signed up for Source Nexus, you've downloaded the plugin, you've installed it. Source Nexus, you're going to add it onto this aux strip right here. And then you're going to go into your preferences of Logic, into audio, and you want to set your input device as Source Nexus. Once you've set your input as Source Nexus, you go back to your web browser. And one thing, I'm sorry, I also forgot to mention this. for whatever reason, it doesn't work in Safari. I'm using it in Chrome, but I think you can use Chrome or Firefox for Source Nexus. I'm a big Safari guy, so I was kind of bummed about that, but it's not the end of the world. So you open up Chrome. If you don't have it, go download it. It's free. And once you've started that Source Connect meeting, it actually asks you what input and output you want to use on the web browser. You set your output to Source Nexus and your input in Logic to Source Nexus, and then you put the Source Nexus plugin on that aux strip. Everything shows up right in Logic. It sounds absolutely amazing in real time. So you'll be able to hear how good it sounds. Does it sound as good as if Bob were sitting in the room with me? Not quite, but it's not far off. And honestly, I don't think many people will even really notice the difference. But download the newest episode of the podcast we just put out yesterday. Listen for yourself, see what you think. Basically, we recorded for probably like 30 to 45 minutes. And it's really fun. One of the things that we love doing in this podcast is being goofy and just trying different things and saying, dumb stuff, right? So we recorded that for a while, saying all kinds of stuff, and just to kind of see where we landed, and it gives us fun things that I can edit in later. Like if you saw on our Instagram page the little kind of promotional video that we did announcing the podcast yesterday, it's that kind of stuff. It's also, I have a lot of that at the end of our podcast episodes, and so I was still able to capture and record all of this remotely at full quality. Now, there is one thing that I want to mention and recommend. Here, if I go back to Chrome, and let's see, do I have this open? Okay, so right here, I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So once you've created your Source Connect account, you want to actually do this recording. You're going to click on Start Connection. How many guests do you want? You can set as many guests as you want. I just put it at 2. I don't know if it makes a difference, honestly. You set the quality. So, I wanted to record at the best possible quality. And this is the first time I'd done this, and I was really happy with how it came out. So for mono, that's the highest quality. For stereo, I can go a bit higher. But since we were recording with Hype Mic, it didn't make sense to do stereo, so I did mono. I created a little guess password, and I hit Connect Now. You can see now that meter that I showed you in the screenshot. You're looking at the same thing here. So I'm metering my audio right here, and it's actually sending. It's sending, my input is set as Hype Mic. My output is set as Source Nexus. In Logic, as long as I have my input set as Source Nexus and the Source Nexus plugin on this aux channel, I'm going to get my audio. Now, one thing I recommend, best practice here, and then we'll move on to something else. I highly recommend right here that you actually record the audio. So each person that I invite in here has the ability to hit record, and you can see what this looks like right here. I'm recording my audio. Each person would have to do this individually, and I recommend they record the audio all the way through, even though you're capturing it in your DAW, because it's just a good practice. It's a good way to make sure that nothing happens. If someone has a spike in their internet or, just something silly happens, they'll still be recording here in Source Connect, but on the receiving end in Logic, you might have an issue. I had Bob do this just as a backup, and when you're done with your session, you want to hit stop, and you want to make sure to download the recording right here, okay? Each person, this would be a really cool thing for them to change at some point, but as of right now, each person has to start their own recording, and each person has to download it onto their own computer when they're done. Even though it's my meeting, I don't have the ability to start the recording for Bob's audio or whoever's audio, and I also don't have the ability to stop it or download it at the end. So just as a safeguard, because I hadn't listened all the way through to the Logic session, we did it like 30, 45 minutes, something like that, I had Bob record the whole thing, kind of locally. It's still online, but it's him controlling it. I had him record the whole thing, download it at the end, and send it to me just as a backup. So good practice. I highly recommend it. Okay, I'm going to open up my YouTube window here and see what's going on in the chat, see if I'm missing any questions. Ron, I hear you. Oh, Ross, thank you so much. That's awesome. So if you listened last week, we just put a new episode out yesterday of the podcast, so you've definitely gotta check it out. How do you get the quality for both sides of the interview over the internet? I don't know, man. It's some kind of magic, but they do it. I didn't code it. I don't know how the heck they do it, but it works well. So, and you can hear that in the episode of the podcast. That message at the very beginning was recorded this exact way. So it sounds really good. Can you do that with multiple tracks like for a band? Ross, it's like you're a mind reader. Yes, that's where I was going with this. You can, all of these options that we've covered so far, whether it's the OBS.Ninja video, whether it's the meet.source-elements or the Source Connect and Source Nexus, all of these you can do for multiple audio and or video sources, and you can either record them locally, record them remotely, or broadcast them. So yes, you can. Let me see. iPad probably won't work because the driver needed for Source Connect or for the source input. I don't know. Well, no, iPad will work. It will work for one side. It will work for the sending of audio, I believe. I think. We'll see. I could definitely test that and let you know. Hey, what's up, Dip? Glad you made it. But yeah, so, and Juan, the name of the podcast is Clear Mountain's Domain. So if you go to any podcasting platform and just type in Clear Mountain, you'll find it. It's really all about Bob, and it's a lot of fun. He has some great stories, so highly recommend you check it out. And shares a lot of really good tips along the way. Okay, so one thing, Ross, since you just asked about iPad, I want to back up a little bit. Hey, George, what's up? Yeah. Well, yes, exactly. So George just asked, and the guest just clicks on the link and they're on? Yes, that's it. That's why it's so cool. It was a little confusing for me to figure it out because there isn't a lot of documentation on it, and that's why I wanted to spend the time. I wanted to do it in a real use case scenario, like recording Bob. It's kind of important. I mean, he's pretty much the most legendary audio engineer of all time. It's kind of important that he sounds good, right? So I was like, oh, well, let's just make sure that this works and sounds good before I tell all these people about it, next week. So we did this last week. And yeah, it sounds great. So George, all they would do is once you send them the link and you set the password, they don't have to have plugins. They don't have to download. They don't have to install, do anything. They're just visiting a website, and that website is asking for permission to use their microphone. So they just connect whatever mic they want to their computer, and they join it. And that's it. All I would do is just make sure you ask them to start the recording just as a backup. I have not done this like 100 times. I've done it in a real use case scenario once, but it worked great. So if I was doing it all the time, though, I would for sure be asking anyone that I was recording to record it and then send me that recording at the end, or I'd like create a Dropbox link or something. How to play live on YouTube with reverb. Cake. I got you. We're gonna put that one in the question parking lot, but I got you, man. We'll get there. It's a good question though. So yes, yeah, I'll test that and let you know. Now I want to jump back though, since Ross, you brought something up about the iPad. This is so cool, and I tested this earlier, and I didn't know how much time we'd have to cover this, but I just want to tell you, and we've already covered how to do it, but a lot of people forget about this, and I've told so many people recently, I'm like, you can do this thing I'm about to tell you, and they're like, what? I had no idea. If you've got a smartphone that has a good camera, mine has an amazing camera, I can use this as my webcam, and there are actually quite a few different ways to do it. You can plug it via Lightning right into your computer if you want, and select that as your source in OBS. There are a handful of apps that do it wirelessly, but you don't need that if you're using OBS Ninja. So let's open this up again and take a look at it. Had the chat open there. Okay, so, and I'm still recording here. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna hit done here. So I'm not recording that anymore. This is still doing its thing. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Just sign out and leave. They really do have quite a few questions for you there at the end. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. That's not where I want to go. I want to go to OBS Ninja. All right, so here we are, OBS Ninja. The option for the group video chat, as well as add your camera to OBS. You guys ready for this? They both work on your iPhone. How cool is that? As well as setting your input and output audio devices, which is crazy. So you have the ability to send the video from your phone in real time with like almost no latency, and connect your microphones to get this really high quality audio and video, and send it to someone via OBS or one of the other options we've talked about, and they can enter it right in real time into OBS that same exact way we did it before. The only difference is you open up Safari in your phone, you follow that link, the link that's generated. Like if I did this and I did add group video to chat, and then I typed in my whatever, my guest link here. If I sent that, and I mean, if you guys are interested in seeing it, I can show you right now, but if I send that link to myself, I can open up Safari in that link, and I can basically send a camera feed from my phone with my front or rear facing camera into my stream in OBS. And again, the latency is so low and the quality is so good, especially if you've got a good looking camera on your phone. And you can do that from really, it doesn't have to just be a phone. I mean, if you have a camera that's got web capabilities and Wi-Fi, you could probably do it that way too. I'm not entirely sure, but I would think it's possible. So I would definitely say play around with that, have some fun, experiment, because it's pretty rad. Okay, one thing that I want to mention, I meant to do this at the beginning, but it's good because there are a bunch of people in here. So it's interesting, like I had mentioned a moment ago, there are so many different use case scenarios for streaming. I mean, we touched on a couple last week. I've touched on like 2 or 3 today, for audio and video. I could probably do this series for the next 3.5 years and show you a new one every week because there are so many. There are a couple that I'm really excited to show you at some point. If there's enough interest, we'll go into these. But we touched on OBS today. OBS is awesome. It's not my favorite, but it's the one that is most commonly used. And so I wanted to kind of cover that because it's the one that everyone always hears people talk about. If you open up a video on YouTube, like how to stream, it's always someone talking about OBS. So I just wanted to cover it because you're going to hear it come up over and over and over again. So now you know what it looks like and kind of have a general idea of how to use it. But there are some options that are actually cloud-based or online broadcasting applications, like via the web. The beauty of that is you can have someone controlling your stream remotely, doing your overlays, your titles and stuff, switching between different sources. So, let me know if there's enough interest in that. We might cover one of those in the coming weeks. And what would be really cool is I will actually get someone from Apogee to do the online switching. So I won't have to be going, wait, let me switch to this screen. Okay, let me switch to that screen. You'll just see me do my thing and they'll be switching it constantly. Really cool, especially if you've got a team of people and you're trying to do broadcasts. If you're doing concerts, I highly recommend it because then all you've got to do is send a source to the website, and the website is doing all of the kind of like processing. Cloud or Stage 10 is one of those options. If you go to stage10.com, let me just make sure that website is correct. Gosh, there's so many. I have this ongoing bookmark in Safari of all the different options I've found that do kind of similar things, and it's probably the most extensive list I've ever had in a bookmark. Yeah, stage10ten.tv. So this is an option that's going to allow you to do like online switching, basically. Okay, so let me take a look here. I used OBS and found this version called Streamlabs. Yes, okay, so Streamlabs is, as far as locally based options, I highly prefer Streamlabs OBS to the regular version of OBS. I've been using it for a long time. However, basically since the inception of Streamlabs OBS, so OBS is, remember, it's like open source code, so anyone can take it and modify it. And I've been using Streamlabs for years when I do streams because they have a ton of options for creating overlays and titles, and they have animations and like themes, and they're incredible. And the Streamlabs version of OBS, in my opinion, I like it better. It's easier. It's similar in a lot of ways, the interface and the layout and whatnot, but I like the way that they present it all a little bit better. Here's the thing though, since inception, it's been Windows only. Now just, let me see, 3 weeks ago, it came out for Mac, and I have been waiting for it to come out for Mac. So I do a lot of gaming, and I have a gaming PC, so I would use it on my gaming PC. But right now I'm broadcasting from my Mac, and it just came out for Mac, so I thought, oh my gosh, this is so great, I gotta show everyone how to use it. I downloaded it, installed it, I opened it one time and it crashed. So I thought, you know what, I might, and I'm not saying I would do that every time, but I was like, I might hold off for just a little bit, and see if there are any updates that come out, just to make sure it's super stable before I tell everyone to go use that on the Mac. Now, if you're using it on Windows, I've been using it there for a long time, it's incredibly stable. Also, though, I mean, gosh, there are so many that all have kind of different capabilities, different benefits to them. Wirecast is another really popular one that I've been using for years. Let me actually look down at my dock. I'll read a couple off to you that I use pretty regularly. There's one that Elgato makes, Game Capture HD. I use that, or I've used that a ton in the past for a lot of the gaming streams I've done. There's one called Game Show. So it really just depends on what you're trying to achieve, because there are like an infinite amount of different application offerings out there that'll do this. Okay, so Paul, you asked if I'm using Streamlabs. I'm assuming you mean Streamlabs OBS, right? Where does someone watch my stream? You basically, in whatever encoding software you're using, whether it's OBS or Streamlabs or Wirecast or Livestream or Ustream or any of these others, it's all about where you designate the stream to go to. So let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so here in the infinite window we have of OBS. I actually thought about, because this always confused me in the early days of OBS when I would see this, when I would watch a tutorial and I just saw this like infinite thing. I actually thought about streaming OBS from my other computer so that you wouldn't actually see this crazy overlay every time I put this on the screen, but whatever, it is what it is. So if I go to OBS and preferences, and you know, if you guys are interested in this, there are quite a few different options that we could really do a deep dive into this at some point that definitely affect, you know, your audio, your video. I don't know how the stream looks today. Hopefully it looks good. I'm hardwired in because there's just no point in not hardwiring in. If you got to get a long Ethernet cable, go get a long Ethernet cable. And I have really good internet, so there's just no reason to do wireless. But I do see so many people streaming, and the quality is very low, and either low or you see a lot of skipping. And it's not like I'm using great gear, guys. I'm using like an 8-year-old webcam that only does 720p, 30 frames a second, which, like I mentioned last week, kind of makes me cringe a little bit, but it's what I got right now. So, you know, got to make it work. Anyway, let me know if you want to do a deep dive into this at some point. We can definitely do it. But right here, if I go to stream, you can see you have the ability to, and it won't let me draw this down. Well, no, because I'm in the middle of a stream, but you have the ability to enter in the server that you're streaming to, and then this special streaming key. So here's what that means. when I'm streaming to YouTube right now, okay? So what I do is what we do is we schedule a stream, so that way you can see, hey, stream coming up at this time. And we do that in our YouTube channel in the live studio creator, I think it's called live studio creator. That sounds right, probably. And so you schedule your stream, and in that stream, once you've scheduled it, you see a little area that pops up and it gives you a stream URL and a stream key. Every platform you stream to, you have that same thing. So all you do is you just decide, where do I want to stream this to? And it will show up wherever you are streaming to. Now, the question always comes up, and I mentioned this a little bit last week, but the question always comes up, what if I want to stream to multiple platforms? Can I do that? Absolutely, you can do that. So there are a couple services out there that I know of that do it, but I bet you, I haven't done a search for it like in the last 2 weeks. I bet you in the last 2 weeks, 10 other companies have come out that do the same thing, because everyone is releasing software to do this kind of stuff. So the one that I've used the most is called Restream.io. That's actually the website, Restream.io. If you create an account, and there are a couple, I think there's another one, Caster. There are a couple, but Restream is the one that I use the most. Not that it's the best, it's what I've used. You can go create a Restream account, and inside of your Restream account, you have the ability to enter multiple output sources. So basically what you do is you take the stream URL and the stream key from your Restream account, and in your OBS settings, you stream to Restream. Then in the Restream account, you designate all of the different places that you want it to rebroadcast to. So it's really cool. So you can stream to like Facebook and YouTube and multiple sources all at the same time. And all you have to do is you just link each of the accounts that you want that stream to end up at inside of your Restream account. Good question. Let me take a look at the chat here. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds like you guys want to do a deep dive into some of the settings. Okay, so we'll definitely put that on the list for one of the upcoming streams. If I'm using Streamlab, how does it go? Hey, okay, Paul. So you're trying to do a stream paid yoga class with high quality video and audio. Wonder if Streamlabs would make sense. For sure. I mean, there are a ton of options. Well, okay, so let me see. Let me open something up here and give you, well, no, let's just do this. Oh, cool. I'm so glad. I really appreciate it, Robert. Okay, so Streamlabs and OBS are something different, I think, than what you're talking about, maybe. Maybe not, though. So Streamlabs and what we were looking at earlier, OBS, they're basically the same thing. Those are just the applications that you set everything up in. You set up like your different scenes and your different sources, like your camera and your microphone, and then overlays. And then I played a video, a couple different times throughout here. I played videos. Those are just applications. It's just software on your computer that you use to queue up everything that you want to happen. If like you're doing a long stream, like when I would do gaming streams, I would set up an intermission screen that would have like some fun animations on it, and it'd be playing some music, and it would say, well, I'll be right back soon. So that if I was doing like a 6 or 7 hour stream, I'm like, at some point you're going to have to run to the bathroom. It's just the reality, So it's like, you're not having like dead time basically. And then of course on my intermission scene, I would make sure that the mic was not a source. So people aren't hearing the mic. If I walk out of my room and my wife's like, hey, how's the stream going? I don't want people to hear like random conversations and stuff. So that software, whether it's OBS or Streamlabs, is just what you use to set up what you want to happen within your stream. Then you push it out to wherever you want it to go. So for a yoga class, Streamlabs absolutely could be a great option. But the question is, where is that stream going to eventually broadcast at? Are you wanting to broadcast publicly or privately? I would assume privately. Are you wanting it to be on a kind of like a proprietary platform, or do you have some method of payment that you figured out to do on YouTube or on Facebook, and then even Instagram. Man, people talk about or ask all the time. I've had this come up so many times in the last week. Sorry, my in-ear's kind of funky right now. I keep messing with it. But one of the things that so many people have asked me about in the last week or two is how do I stream to Instagram in stereo? Because apparently you can't do it, just like you can't use Source Connect in Logic. You can totally do it. So if that's something you're interested in, we may cover that as well. So if you want to tell me, Paul, the end result, like where that yoga podcast is going to live, I can throw out some suggestions. But if you're just asking about the best application to use for that, yeah, I would say give it a try for sure. If you're using a Mac, I'll do some more testing this week and see how stable Streamlabs OBS is for Mac. But on Windows, it's incredibly stable because it's been out for a long time. So, oh, right on. Oh, well, hang on. I missed a couple here. Your Pro Tools didn't handle Catalina, or you didn't upgrade it. Just thinking of upgrading to Catalina. I'm using Catalina right now. I love it. Unfortunately, I was using an older version of Pro Tools, which it's not looking like it's going to get an update. I don't know. Maybe it will. So, but yeah, I'm using Pro Tools 11, so it might just be time to get a new one. We'll see. I'm trying to teach classes too, and I was curious if you use this to stream video from my website so people could watch it. I'm not sure, Mel. I'm not sure I understand your question. You're trying to teach classes too, and you're curious if you can use this. Do you mean like OBS or Streamlabs OBS to just stream video from my website? So, is it that you're wanting the video to show up on your website live? If so, there are options for that. What it would probably be best to do, or easiest, is to stream to a platform that's already established, like YouTube, but stream as a unlisted video. If you set your streaming preferences to unlisted, it's not searchable. The only people that will see it are the ones you want to see it. Then what you can do, since you will know how to find it, is you'll take that and you'll insert that stream onto your website. So anyone that goes to your website, they'll see it. But it won't be found anywhere on YouTube. That'd be one way to go about it, that would probably be pretty easy. And you have an Apogee element on the way. Oh man, that's so cool. And yes, absolutely. I have my element sitting right here in front of me. You can easily use it for streaming in OBS, in Streamlabs OBS, in every platform that I've used. If you have an Apogee product that is iOS compatible, like a One, a Duet, a Quartet, a Jam, a mic, a Hype mic, like anything that's iOS, you can actually use to stream really high quality on the iOS platforms for like Facebook Live or Instagram or YouTube or any of the others out there. So yeah, but as far as on the desktop, since the Element series is not iOS compatible, it works amazing. I've used it many times. Let's see, a couple other questions here. I'm going to read through a couple more questions here in the chat, and then I'm going to see if I can knock out a couple that were submitted ahead of time. And then we're going to do a giveaway. Oh, okay, you're looking into Vimeo. Paul, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email, and I will see if I can throw a couple suggestions out. And I'm going to put an email address up here. I did this last week. I got so many great questions. If you weren't here earlier and you missed this, there are still a couple people that I haven't had a chance to respond to yet, but I will definitely get to you this week. But it was really exciting to see so many great questions come through. So I am going to click on the plus in OBS. I'm going to select text, and I am going to add a live little text overlay to my stream right now. It's not going to look fancy, just so you guys can get an email address. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. What the heck? Let's get crazy. It's CD podcast at apogeedigital.com. So that's Clear Mountain's domain podcast. Shameless plug. Yeah, so you can email me there. I monitor that email address as well. And then, yeah, I'm happy to help you figure that out, Paul. Yeah, streaming to Instagram and stereo. Man, so many people want to know how to do that. So if that's something you guys are interested in also, then we will definitely tackle that. Again, just want to make sure you guys are aware we have tutorials on our website, apogeedigital.com, for so many of the different live streaming platforms. So if you're interested in things that we haven't covered yet, take a look at the website, download the PDF. They are so detailed, but so simple, and they just very basically, here's what you got to do. Here's first step, second step, third step. There's screenshots. It's awesome. So check those out if you have questions that we haven't gotten to yet and you want to jump into it before our next live stream. Have you tried using a virtual Windows machine on the Mac with any luck? Not for streaming, I haven't. I've used like virtual Windows machines many times on the Mac, but I haven't tried for streaming. I don't know that. I guess the question would be why, if you're interested in doing that, what would the benefit of that be? Is it to run like a Windows version of Streamlabs because you know it's more sturdy or stable? Which may not be the case. Maybe I just got unlucky that first time I opened it and it crashed. So I'll test it again. I'll let you know for sure. But if there's a reason to, I'd say give it a try. Do a private stream on whatever platform you're streaming to. See how it works out. You'll find out real quick. Listen to dozens of converters lately, and I love how Apogee Symphony IO Mark II sounds compared. I'm the world's biggest Symphony fan. It is honestly, especially that mastering edition one, it's stupid. Like, I don't know. Our engineers are freaking wizards, man. They do stuff that blows my mind. And it's funny because, of course I work for Apogee. And so, it's like, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm always like, yeah, go Apogee. But it's not, there's no benefit to me saying that. There are a ton of people that love Apogee and there are a ton of people that love other products, but the reason I work for Apogee is because I'm obsessed with our stuff. It's so, so good. The Duet changed my life, the original version of it. So I'm a lifer, man. It's Apogee for me. Just interested. I have a 10-year-old in France watching part one, trying to understand. Oh, that's so cool, Ron. Tell her I appreciate it so much. You send an email. Cool. Okay, so Dips saying he thinks there'll probably be a lot of delays with virtual machines. Maybe. Windows runs really well on the Mac, honestly. Some things actually run better than they do on Windows, in my opinion. Or at least they did for a long time. I haven't really tested them out yet, or recently, I should say. Okay, stable version. Yeah, Robert, I would just go with OBS for now, and then next week I can give you an update on how stable Streamlabs OBS is for the Mac. But if you start getting used to OBS, the beautiful thing about the way they set up the Streamlabs version of OBS, anything you've set up, whether it's a theme, a scene, any of that, it actually imports directly into OBS, Streamlabs OBS for the Mac, and for Windows. So you can import any of that. You're not going to lose anything, and they're very similar. So if you start getting familiar with the regular version of OBS, it's just going to make the transition that much easier. So that would be my recommendation, and I can let you know next week. Yeah, wizards. Match up well with your ATC? I don't know. I mean, I haven't found anything that it doesn't match up well with, but I would give it a try and let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. Can you link two circuits of Symphony Mark II? Do you mean like two different Symphony Mark IIs? You can definitely connect multiple units for sure to achieve like an absolutely insane amount of I/O. I tell you, man, our engineers are nutty. They go in. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to just take a look at the spreadsheet here of questions. I'm going to pick like 2 or 3 really quick to answer, and then I'm going to announce the winner of today's giveaway. Very excited. Okay, I got a question. What's your favorite color? Spelled the British way. And you're from the United Kingdom. That's awesome, man. Right on. Hey, Sean, if you're here, what's up? My favorite color. I don't know. It depends on what it's for. I've always been a fan of blue though. Big fan of blue. Okay, this one looks tricky. So let's end the question section with this one. I'm on an HP desktop computer running Windows 7 and new to using Zoom. I've been on 3 or 4 conferences, and after the first 2 or 3 minutes, Zoom takes over my audio settings and kicks it back to the internal microphone and speakers, and then eventually they mute themselves also. Whoa. On occasion, I'm able to solve it by resetting the sample rates from the desktop speaker icon so that all devices are in agreement, but it's no longer solving the problem. Am I alone? I doubt you're alone. I'm sure there are a ton of people using it or running into that issue. I don't know if you had a chance to Google search it and see if there are any other people that have run into that. I'm a self-proclaimed Windows tard, if I'm being honest with you. When I went Mac, I went hard, you know what I'm saying? But because I've been using Windows more recently for some of the gaming stuff, I will say I've run into a lot of interesting audio issues when it comes to, like, if you go into the preferences of the audio devices, you can basically have certain devices that listen to other devices and send to other devices, and it's really complicated. What I ended up having to do for when I'm doing streams from my Windows computer, it's usually for gaming, and I have a soundboard that is got like all kinds of voice mods and stuff, and it's really fun. I can make my voice sound deeper than it ever will actually sound in real life. So when I started using that on Windows, I had to basically go in and not just select what I wanted to be set as my main audio device. I actually had to disable every other option in there. And that was really the only way that I could figure out how to make things work the way I wanted them to, because I did run into an issue where things would switch to other IO all the time for whatever reason. And I still don't know why that is. But I gave the disclaimer, I am a Windows tard. So it may just be that I was doing something wrong. If anyone else knows and wants to throw some info out there, who asked that question again? Let me see. To Dawn from Glendale. What? Glendale, like Glendale in California, Glendale, Arizona? Because I live in Glendale. Shoot, we're practically neighbors, man. That's crazy. Okay, so what time is it, you ask? I'm glad you asked. It's giveaway time. So let's get our giveaway going right now. Here we go. Let me open up my my text message here, because I got a text earlier. The winner. Oh, I'm so excited. All right, guys, drum roll it. Help me out here. If you're at home, just... And the winner is Robert Wills from Canada. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Maybe a little overexcited there. I love giving stuff away. It's really fun. So Robert Wills, is it Wills or Willis? Maybe Willis. Robert Wills or Willis. Congratulations, my friend. I am very happy to, hey, there's a drum roll. Very happy to announce that you are today's stream giveaway winner. Congrats, man. Everyone, round of applause. Woo! That is awesome. And so if I'm being honest with you, I don't even know. What are we giving away today, Marlene? Let's see. A Symphony IO? No, I'm just joking. She didn't say that. So she's texting me right now. She'll let me know. I don't know what we're giving away. It's either probably like a Jam or a Mic Plus or something. I'll let you know here in just a minute. But what we'll do, we have your email address on file from the registration of the class. And so Marlene will reach out to you at that email. If you don't hear from her, you have any questions, just email me here at cdpodcast@apogeedigital.com. All right, guys, we are about to wrap up, but here's what I need from you guys. A couple things, all right? It's like 3 to 6 things, 7 maybe, okay? Drop a like on the video if you haven't already, because it really helps us out. And I'd really appreciate it. Just give us a big old thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, it would mean the world to us if you would just head to, after the stream's over, head to Apogee or open up a new tab if you want so you don't close this one, and make sure to subscribe, because we are doing these things every week. We've got a whole weekly series of streaming stuff, and I'm being so completely honest when I'm saying we're just scratching the surface. There is so much to come. So that would be great. Please, if you haven't done so already, check out Clear Mountain's Domain podcast. It is so much fun. You can listen to it on all the major podcasting platforms, and it's free. And you're literally hearing from an absolute legend. And it's just years of a wealth of experience and wisdom and funny stories. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, leave us a comment and a 5-star review wherever you're listening to it, because it's a new podcast. We're just trying to get it out there. Share it with your friends, your family, whoever. And lastly, if you are going to be attending these every week, make sure to head over to our website. And we've created a form there now on the Learn From Home part of our webpage that allows you to ask questions. So any questions that you have or even if there's topics that you want covered in coming weeks, that is the best way to let us know. So head to our website, go to the Learn From Home section, and fill out the form if there's something you want to know, like how do I do stereo on Instagram? And guys, with that, I am going to let you go, but I want to let you know, I really do appreciate you guys joining. I appreciate the engagement. All of the questions have been amazing, and it's been really fun for me to get to do this. So you guys are giving me the opportunity to get to hang out and just help everyone make really cool content. So I do appreciate it. Other than that, stay healthy, stay safe, wash your hands, and we love you guys. We will see you in a future stream. Until then, see you later. Cheers.